So, Sonic Movie 3 just came out, and at the time of writing this, it's been 3 days since I watched it. And I think I've collected all my thoughts on the movie, and while it was a good watch, a lot of the things about the movie disappointed me, more than I expected. While this isn't a full in-depth review of every part of the movie, this video will contain a lot, if not all, major spoilers for Sonic the Hedgehog 3. So, click off now and come back later if you haven't watched the film yet. And with that out the way, this is why Sonic Movie 3 kinda disappointed me. So, I was really hyped for this movie ever since the ending of Sonic Movie 2. Shadow had been teased, and that would mean a movie based on SA2, which is my favorite game of all time. They really had lightning in a bottle with SA2, and they had a chance to recapture that lightning again in Movie 3. But sadly, I don't think I love it as much as SA2. But wait, don't get me wrong, the movie definitely has its moments. This is where I want to talk about first off, the relationship of Team Sonic. I thought the way they handled Team Sonic in this movie was actually really nice. They interacted almost better than how they do in the games. I really liked the opening race scene. It instantly showed us how all three of the heroes' personalities bounce off one another. I also love that they acknowledged how they all have a role in the team, and how it makes them all important to one another. I also really like how they handled Tom and Maddie in this film. They didn't hold the plot back like the humans did in the second movie. And moving on to Shadow, I had high hopes on how they would deliver Shadow's backstory, and luckily, I think they cooked. Shadow's story was handled really well. I loved all the Maria flashbacks and how they told Shadow's story through them. Especially the montage of her and Shadow. That really hit the damn feels, man. They did really good with these portions of the film. Keanu is also an amazing Shadow voice. He literally sounds like how David Humphrey did in SA2.
My name is Shadow. I'm the world's ultimate life form.
I don't look like you. You look like me.
Great cast choice by them. Now, the Robotniks. I honestly liked a lot of their scenes. I thought Jim Carrey did an excellent performance as Ivo and Gerald. And I will admit, my first thoughts when seeing Gerald alive.
This is bullshit.
In the saggy flesh.
I hated just the thought of it. And going into the movie, I still did. But honestly, I can't complain. This version of Gerald has character, but he still contains his mindset of hellbent revenge, although keeping that motive hidden from his grandson up until the climax. The way they revealed Gerald's true motive to Eggman was honestly great, with Eggman instantly hitting the fact that Gerald lied about wanting to conquer the world, when instead, he wanted to destroy it.
What?
This obviously leads up to the finale, which I will get to later in the video. I have some strong opinions about that section. So, while there's a lot this movie got right, Team Sonic's dynamic, Shadow's backstory, and even the performances from the cast, I can't ignore the areas where it really fell short. Unfortunately, there were some giant misses that really held Sonic Movie 3 back from being as great as it could have been. And this is where I want to dive into. Here's what you've been waiting for. Huh. Alright, so Sonic himself is still written kind of poorly. I say kinda because he does mature a decent bit near the end of the film, but I feel like it wasn't really natural, due to the fact that throughout the movie, there weren't really any moments you saw that maturity slowly start to affect Sonic. He just so happened to flip his mature switch when Tom got punched. If they would have slowly developed his maturity throughout the film instead of just near the end, I honestly would have loved movie Sonic way more. It would have made him not only a more interesting character, but it would have been way more rewarding to see. I did really like the Sonic and Knuckles face-off though. That shit was peak fiction. I couldn't ask for better. Switching gears here, I felt really off-put by the overall dynamic of Sonic and Shadow in this movie, or lack thereof. For example, in Sonic Adventure 2, throughout the entire course of that game, we not only feel the tension between Sonic and Shadow during the story, but we get to see it. Because almost everything Sonic does, and almost every place he's at, Shadow is there to get in his way, allowing for them to pretty much always interact during the story. I really wish we got that in this movie, because I feel like the final payoff scene where Sonic and Shadow are on the moon and suddenly become best friends after their superpower battle feels a bit forced. They really have no back and forth or yin and yang type relationship in this movie. They only interact a handful of times, and most of those interactions are just fights or short conversations. I feel like the reasoning for the relationship being rushed is that instead of the story being a race for the Chaos Emeralds around the world, it's a race for 2 keys in France. That's so lame, and I think it really held this movie back. I already explained that I do really love how they handled Shadow's flashbacks with Maria and whatnot, But what I didn't like though is how they removed some very important features of Shadow's backstory. For example, the base Shadow, Maria, Gerald, and Olive Garden guy lived in was not the Ark. In fact, the Ark is not mentioned once in this movie. One of the most crucial plot points of SA2 was cut out. See, in this movie, they just live in a hidden gun base in a mountain, which is weird because didn't they say gun was created because of the events of movie 1? And I know some of you might say, it sounds like I just wanted this film to be Sonic Adventure 2, the movie, but that's just not the case. I can understand why Rouge might not be in the film, or some of the other darker tones from SA2 might be absent. It seems like they cut out most of the impactful things from the story that they were trying to adapt, just for the sake of simplicity. For example, Maria being sick, which is the reason why she has to live in the base. That plot point is completely gone. Also, they weakened Shadow's backstory a lot, because he was just discovered from a random meteor and not created by Gerald. They even cut out the Biolizard plot, one of Shadow's crucial parts to his character arc, and one of my favorite things about the SA2 story. Because the symbolism of the Biolizard is to show that Shadow could have become something like the Biolizard if he would have kept going down that path of destruction. Thus, when he defeats it alongside Sonic, his counterpart, it shows that he truly has found the meaning of his life and is a new person, not just some weapon. Them cutting the Biolizard out was so disappointing and a big missed opportunity. While these left out parts from Shadow's backstory really undermine the emotional depth of his character, the movie did make up for it slightly during the climax. The Super Sonic and Super Shadow team-up was, in all honesty, fucking incredible. It was the highlight of the film and even paid homage to their dap-up from Adventure 2, which was sick. The CGI was great and the action was really well choreographed. And okay, I'm not gonna talk about the Biolizard here, I just went on a rant about that. I really do like the scene of them before they take off.
Gotta go fast.
Don't tell me you've got a catchphrase.
That's right, new hedgehog. And everyone loves it.
I feel like this is where they found the footing for their dynamic. They did play Live and Learn for 45 seconds, and it barely included the lyrics. But I'm still glad it made it in, even if the Junkie XL version sucked. But I really hated when the beautiful and exciting final team-up was interrupted by two grown-ass men doing this. I hated these scenes so much. It would have been way better if they fought in a more serious way instead of comedically. Or maybe I gotta remember, these things are made for babies. But other than that, I thought the way Gerald died was funny and a fitting end to his character. And I really liked Eggman's final send-off to Agent Stone. Peak fiction right here, man. Oh, and yes, they did eventually. Finally, I enjoyed the ending hug between Team Sonic. So sweet, and honestly, so emotional in the theater. I wish he said the line though, man.
Sayonara, Shadow the Hedgehog.
It would have been the cherry on top. But hey, did their relationship throughout the movie really warrant that?
Nope.
Honestly, I feel like this movie could have done so much more with the resources it had. But sadly, they managed to take out more of the SA2 plot points instead of including them, which made me feel really weird about this movie's simple story. But that's not to say this movie didn't hit many marks. Like I said, I really love Team Sonic's friendship and how it's written in the movie. I love the way they adapted Shadow and Maria, and I surprisingly ended up loving Gerald. But it seems like where this movie thrives, there's just more moments that miss the mark, like the soundtrack or the lack of the Biolizard. In conclusion, I like this movie, seriously. But what I don't like is that there's so many nods to iconic, memorable, impactful moments, then right when you think it's gonna happen, something diverges and makes it different and kinda weird. That's what I really don't like about Sonic the Hedgehog 3. But hey, it wasn't the worst thing ever. I still thought it was peak fiction, and hell, I think it's the best set of Sonic movies so far. And of course, as a virtually overly obsessed Sonic fan, I'm obviously hyped for Sonic 4. Please God, let it be mixture of CD and Heroes. Oh my God, Metal Overlord would go so crazy. But that's about it. Do you agree with my takes, or do you disagree? What do you think about Sonic Movie 3? Tell me in the comments below. And that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and peace, my fellow knights. Until next time.